Hey, what's up guys, it's Nirav here for Android Authority, and one of the biggest problems with the Galaxy S6 Edge is that it comes with the non-removable battery. As the first Samsung flagship that you can't take the battery out of, you're limited to the 2600 mAh battery that comes in the handset itself. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the tips that I've picked up on how to get the most out of the battery. Right, so my first tip is about display brightness, and trust me, how bright your display is makes a huge difference to your battery life. By reducing from full brightness to around 50% or less, I found that it can add actually a whole hour onto your screen on time. I personally keep my handset on auto brightness with the slider set to around 50% or less, and this means I'm often able to get 4 to 6 hours screen on time from a full charge. It's not perfect, but at 50% auto brightness, I found the screen is actually bright enough for most scenarios. From display brightness to a problem that's definitely of Samsung's own making, Smart Network Switch. Smart Network Switch basically means the handset will constantly scan your mobile networks and your Wi-Fi networks, and whenever you're accessing data, it uses whichever it thinks is the strongest network. The problem with this? Boy, it does definitely drain your battery. So let's take a quick look at how to turn this off. Turning this off is as simple as going into Wi-Fi networks and deselecting the box at the top. And by switching this off, you'll find it can add around 15 to 20% to your battery life. In the context of hours, this works out to between an hour and a half extra battery life, which can be the difference between your handset dying on the way home from work and actually lasting till you can get to a charger at home. Right, from a Samsung problem to an Android problem, and one that affects just about any Android phone. Android can do a lot, but the one thing it doesn't do is manage your location well enough so it doesn't drain your battery. There's loads of options, so let's take a look at the best ways to preserve your battery life. Location is traditionally a big drain of battery, but with the Galaxy S6 Edge, it can actually be a massive problem. If you're someone who relies on location-based widgets and apps, you'll often find that Google Play Services is listed as one of the biggest drains of your battery. The other thing about location is Google's own method of periodically scanning for Wi-Fi networks, even when you switch Wi-Fi off. When you first attempt to use a Google service, it actually prompts you to allow it to constantly scan for your location, and that includes using Wi-Fi when it's switched off, but this can cause massive battery drain. I personally don't allow Google to do this, as I prefer the battery savings that disabling the feature offers. If you're on the fence about this, head over to the location menu, which can be accessed by pressing and holding the location button, and then change the locating method to GPS only. Using GPS only will prevent your phone from scanning for your location using mobile and Wi-Fi networks, and should help your battery massively. From an Android problem to a Google problem, and an issue with sync settings. Now, one of the great things about Android is that you can simply add your Google account and then it just syncs every service whatsoever. That means you've got your Gmail, you've got your app data, you've got your calendar, you've got your contacts, you've got your Play Store, you've got your Play Movies, and so on. The problem with this, when you're like me and you've got several Google accounts, on my Galaxy S6 Edge I've got 7 installed, and to be fair, I don't need all of those services syncing for all of those accounts. I mean, I use one Google account for all services and the rest are just for email. So me, and just about anyone who uses multiple Google accounts, certainly doesn't need all 7 accounts syncing every service. If you've never used Playbooks before, you don't need to sync it, and trust me, Google Play Newsstand, I don't sync on any device. I see absolutely no need for it. What I'm going to do now is show you how to preserve your battery life just by turning off a few options on your phone. Head over to your accounts menu and select your Google account. Then look through each of the services and tap to disable any that you don't use. Now, if you're like me and you use them all, but you have multiple Google accounts installed, make sure you disable them on all but the main account you use for each service. So I use the same Google account for all my services, and as such, on all the others, I've disabled Play Movies, Newsstand, Google Play Books, just to prevent it from syncing in the background. And to my 5th tip, which is actually quite interesting for the Galaxy S6 Edge because it's easily the least bloated Samsung smartphone ever made. Alongside the build, camera, and everything else we've covered in the full review, which you'll find a link to in the description below, Samsung have finally decided that less is actually more. This means the handset comes with just a handful of preloaded apps, and TouchWiz actually lets you disable all of them anyway. In this 5th tip, I'm going to show you how to disable the preloaded apps that you don't use, just to prevent them from running in the background and draining your battery. Now I personally don't use OneDrive, S-Health or S-Voice, so I disable these. And especially in the case of S-Voice, it improved battery life. It wasn't by much, but it was enough to be noticeable. So there you have it. 5 simple tips to getting the most out of your Galaxy S6 Edge battery, and to be honest, most of these can actually apply to just about any Android smartphone. Having come from the Note 4, which has a removable battery, adjusting to this Galaxy S6 Edge has certainly been a challenge. If I'm completely honest, I actually find myself reaching for the charger after around 14 to 18 hours. As I covered in our Galaxy S6 Edge battery review, this isn't a problem for me personally, and for most consumers, this should mean an average full day's usage. Now, if you're someone who uses your phone a lot, and we're talking around 5 to 6 hours screen on time, you are probably going to end up charging your phone more than once a day. However, with quick charging built into the handset, this is less of an actual problem. For me personally, the trade-off between all the features the Galaxy S6 Edge has to offer and the battery life is not so much of an issue, and especially when quick charging can add around 50% of my battery in 30 minutes or so, I'm more than happy to charge it twice a day. I'm Nirav, and this has been my quick tips video on getting the most out of your Galaxy S6 Edge battery. Have you got a tip that you think I've left out? Let me know in the comments below. Do check out the links to all of our other Galaxy S6 Edge content, you'll find them in the description below. Hit subscribe and stay tuned for more from your source for all things Android.